Hi friends, Anuja here. I am a social work professional. I have completed my masters in social work, public health management and business administration. I have prepared this video with my 30 years of working experience in this field. Here we will be covering syllabus of Bachelor in Social Work, Masters in Social Work, which I feel it will be beneficial for the students those who are currently pursuing social work and also the social work professionals. So let's get started with the video. In terms of principles. Then friends, the last point what was that? That was we need certain techniques, certain tools to conduct a casework. That could be in means of storytelling, prayer, yogic exercise, imparting knowledge, fasting, learning, demonstration, modeling behavior like Lord Krishna has demonstrated in Gita, educating Arjuna to perform his role. So these are the some techniques of generic techniques one caseworker can use while dealing with a client. When you are saying tools and techniques to practice certain um, principles, to practice certain or to perform certain roles, what are those tools? A tool is that helps in the practice of a profession and perfection. So, unlike likely, casework tools becomes the context for the application of the techniques. Tools are the channels through which casework techniques became operate. Right? So, with the assistance of tools and techniques, we we can do certain thing perfectly, or that will help us to attain a desired result. What are the social work tools could be? It is the most important tools are listening, observation, interview, relationship, and home visits. Out of these five, there are certain tools that is commonly applicable to all the tools. What are those? Observation and listening, right? So these observation and listening, they will be coming, they will be useful while doing interview, relationship, and home visits too. What is the difference between the tools and techniques? Basically, we use techniques to use some tools. Here, casework techniques are systematic procedure of helping. For example, one of the technique is acceptance of feelings. Whatever the feelings the client is having, that we need to accept. So, how it will happen? Acceptance of client's feeling can only be shown during the social work's contacts with the client, that is within the space of the interview, relationship or home visit. When a caseworker will perform interview or home visit, then only the acceptance of client's feeling will be attained, right? So that is why we say certain techniques we are following to to perform some certain tools. There are different sets of casework techniques. We have divided the casework techniques under three broad categories, that is supportive techniques, enhancing resource techniques, helping techniques, right? What is this? Supportive techniques of social work. It helps the social worker to do casework in a systematic manner. That could be acceptance, assurance, facilitation, accrediting and building of self-confidence, encouragement and reassurance, being with the client, emotional support, action-oriented support and advocacy. So these are the techniques that supports us to do casework. Then techniques for enhancing resources in casework. This dealing with individual without any further support or establishing his or her need will not actually help. So we need to follow certain techniques that will enhance the resources so that the person will feel confident to determine to establish the determination of self. So what are those? Providing and procuring material help. If the client is he or she is in need of certain materials or certain help or certain connecting with some agencies, so that we need to establish or that facilitation we need to do. Change of physical environment. Yes, as I have said, environment of the particular client plays a major role. So if we want that in order to solve that particular problem, we need to change the place or the environment of the client, then that has to be also ensured. Then enhancing information and knowledge. Suppose here I wanted to say our insurance claim of a particular client. Suppose he or she is having met with an accident and he has some insurance and he wanted to establish that. Then we the role of the caseworker here is to know in details about the claim, what are exactly the position. We will help the client to know exactly where, how that particular help we can obtain from the insurance company. So that is also a kind of casework. Here we are helping our client to get the insurance claim, right? So for that we need a detailed information or knowledge on the insurance. What is the term? How the what will be the amount? How it will be claimed? How the detailed bills and everything will be placed in the site. So that is a kind of process we have to follow, right? Then techniques of helping. Here we wanted to understand the client to know exactly the situation. So for that we should know or we should extend counseling techniques, reflective discussion, advice, motivation, clarification about particular situation, correcting perceptions. The client is having some perception in mind, then modeling, anticipatory guidance, role play. So basically these techniques we use looking at the need and the situation of the client, right? These four things we are directly dealing in while doing casework. We are dealing with the social agencies, applications. This is basically from the client end, continuing services. Process of social work ends at the stage. Termination or the last stage, attaining of the last stage is also very important. So these four phases of social casework is very vital and important. We are in a continuous process, and this is also in this process we have to attend, we have to come to an end where our client should feel satisfactory note and in a state to stay in that particular in their community with a adjustment, I can say reassurance or a readjustment or re-establishing themselves in that particular situations. So our social work process will enable the particular kind to do that. That is the moral of this casework method when you are directly dealing with the individual. Though here we will also assess the related components of the particular individual, but still here our focus would be the individual, his intellectual state, his knowledge, his situation, his problem, his professional skills and everything. These are very important things. Just one example I would like to share with you. In a family, the parents, they are having four children. So in and one the son, the younger son of that particular family, he is not very good in education or in studying the things. So every time the parents, uh, they used to compare particular the son with others. They are doing well, you are not doing, you are in backward stage. So they so which affect the son's intellectual state, and he is not at all bothered about the thing. So they used to get complaints from the school, from the peers, from the family. He is not at all attentive, not doing homeworks, that kind of thing. So the parents, they come to a social agency and they said कि my younger son is not very attentive, so we are very down. We are in a problem to say how the educational career will be further, will be taken further. The educational career will be taken further. So then the intervention of the caseworker started. So the caseworker started to interact with the child. So the caseworker went to the home, and he started discussing with the son exactly what is the problem and what is the thing, just to know how the child is responding. So started playing with the child, so that the acceptance would be there. So this theory, as we say, the assumptions, the theoretical formulations, that actually help. He started when the caseworker went to the particular house and started interacting with the client. Then their parents and their other the other elders, they were very speculative what the things are actually going on, right? So since it is a lengthy process, it needs some patience. First, one has to establish a purposeful relationship. Then only the client will be open up. And certainly, we need a separate environment when where the younger one, the children, the child will be open up and share what exactly he is feeling about that particular situation. Maybe under pressure, maybe others are making mockery of him. That's why he is not doing, or maybe the negligence attitude of the teacher, parents on caring feelings of the patient. Maybe the comparison is he is not very much happy with the comparison that the parents are doing with him. So gradually the caseworker get into this, discuss with the school teachers, discuss with the teachers, with the parents, with the peers, and finally now the finally he could able to convince exactly the importance of the study, importance of the personal skills, and and skills of that particular child. He might not be very good in the study, but he is very good in the football, in playing football, in in drawings. So that part need to be nurtured. And see, he should not be compared like with others. He is exact, no doubt he is poor in math, but his other subjects or other knowledge are very high. So he is very good in doing all other, playing in playing, in doing, in drawings, in art, in preparing models, in proposals. So that way he is very competent. So that need to be taken care of, that need to be appreciated. Finally, that helped, the intervention of the caseworker helped, and uh, now the child is uh, is very good, and very well settled in that particular family and doing very excellent job. So that way, our caseworker actually works. So with this, I think I should stop here. You need to think a little about the social work process, and why social work, and how social casework is an important method, and how one has to develop, the caseworker has to develop his skills to do this casework in a in a in a in a detailed way, with all patience and non-judgmental attitude. So just take an assignment, and any other doubts or questions if you are having, please write in the comment box. Do like, subscribe this channel, and definitely we will be discussing on the, I will take your comments, and accordingly I will come with a new whatever the suggestions you will giving. Thank you. Thanks a lot, friends.